Good afternoon, Gareth.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for hosting the continuity programme the other evening. We had about 20 Herefordshire directors here and it was a fantastic evening. They loved your take on corporate social responsibility. We'll abbreviate it to CSR for the purpose of this discussion. Tell me, how does it work? I mean, you've got three strings to your bow here. There's the agricultural side of the business, there is the energy side, and there is the property side. How do you use CSR across that range?
Well, CSR is basically talking about looking after the environment, it's talking about looking after people in society, and it's about making money as well. And I think where, as a society globally, we've got lost the last couple of 100 years is we've forgotten about the fact that people are really important in a finite resource, and the planet is certainly a finite resource, and we've just concentrated on this money thing all the time. So within our business, what we look at across all of our businesses, we look at the impact of what we're doing in terms of the environment, very much so. We look at the impact on the people that we're working with, either within the business, the employees, or our customers, our suppliers, our stakeholders generally. And then we're also obviously looking at profit as well, because we do live in a real world and we do have to make profit. These things have to work together, not in isolation. So the whole essence of what we're trying to do and what is promoted through this type of approach, which certainly isn't new, is to try and combine these elements together so they work in harmony together, so that you're making useful decisions for the environment which help your profit. You're making useful decisions with the people around you, with your stakeholders, so it helps your profit.
Okay, and how do you get people to buy into it? Because you've got all sorts of different employees from different parts of the world, different backgrounds. Do they all buy in, or is it something you have to sell to them?
We try to attract people who are interested in that sort of thing in the first place, but that's not always possible, and that's not always the big win to start with. But we try to show that these things are beneficial to everybody involved. It's not something that they have to do which is bad and horrible. It's actually good for them. If it's good for them, that's great, and it's good for society. It could be them, could be their children, could be their families. It's good for them. The environment, it's good for them. They live in the environment, and of course the business has to make a profit, otherwise it's not going to exist.
Do you think, Gareth, that there's something around financial pressure that prevents some businesses doing this? You know, I do meet business owners and leaders who say, well, you know, we're struggling to make ends meet, you know, so how on earth can we think of CSR? It's just way off our radar.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that's a commonly said thing, and certainly with the renewable energy business, we commonly have people say, oh, I can't afford to put some panels in because it's such a lot of money. But actually the reality is this approach is all about actually helping you make more money. So the more a business is struggling, the more important it is actually to be doing these things. And it's around staff that are engaged in energy efficiencies, staff that are engaged in human resource activities are more likely to stay in a business. They're more productive. There's all sorts of research that shows how staff are more productive if they feel part of a business which isn't just about making money. And the greater thing again, globally, research is showing that something like 20% of people are prepared to spend 10% more with a company that they see that is doing a good thing. So actually, in terms of that business that's feeling hard up, there's every reason to engage in this rather than think it's something which is not to do with them.
Yeah, tell me about the water that we talked about just a bit earlier. I thought, which river did it come out of? But
yes, well, there's a great example, isn't it? So we use quite a lot of water on the farm. I think we were commonly having £2,000-3,000 a year water bills, which of course compared with some businesses is not much, but it was £2,000 to £3,000 to us. So I think for the cost of about, I think it was £7,000, we installed a borehole. Well, that's good, because what we do now is we don't have chlorinated water. We're not shipping water from all over the place up through pipes and whatever else and having lots of wastage in systems through Welsh Water. We generate water on site. So we've got environmentally more friendly water. We had a payback of about 3 years in terms of putting the borehole in, then people are healthier for it. So it's a financial win.
Yeah, and do you feel, finally, Gareth, that a sense of optimism?
The thing that makes me upbeat and positive and keeps me optimistic is the fact that I've got a young family, and I want them to have a life as good as I've had, and a life as good as my parents and grandparents had before me. And I feel that moral responsibility to make sure that we keep trying to do something. And to keep trying to do something, you fundamentally got to stay fairly upbeat about it, otherwise you soon pack up and go home, don't you? So I think it's about that. Yeah, when it's a bit dark and dim, you have to think about really what's the bottom line of why you're trying to do it.
Well, it was a wonderful evening, and you are a great speaker on this topic, Gareth, so thank you very much for the evening, and thank you very much for your time today. All the very best.
Thank you.